Just about sailing, September 2021. Welcome to my little, this is really, if you haven't been here before, my name's Paul. You'll also be meeting my daughter Lucy, who's my apprentice, who does a lot of work for chocolate for me. This is really like home movies. You know, don't expect a serious sailing channel and don't expect a serious DIY channel. In fact, this month, this September, I haven't done as much work as I wanted to do. But partly I don't because I've got a health problem, which means I can't actually work as many hours a day as I want to. But this time I did something stupid, which meant that 2 weeks of it I was sort of out of action. And there were a few other things getting in the way as well, but we'll cover that later. The other thing is I don't monetize this channel, but you might have just seen an advert that you've had to click away from because YouTube, in their wisdom, have decided that even those creators, I think is what we're called, who don't monetize are going to get an advert. So you've probably just seen an advert and clicked away from it quickly. Now I don't know what that advert is because I think it's based on your browsing history and goodness knows what sort of algorithms. So I don't know if I approve the product or not. So I'm not going to no, actually I will badmouth something. If by incredible coincidence you have just seen an advert from a company called Dörfler who make bows for violins, double basses, etc. My Dörfler D10 G Werner double bass bow has broken. It's brand new and shoddy manufacturing, so I've sent it back. So if you have had a German bow for a double bass advert, don't buy it. There you go. On the other hand, if you've just seen an advert for the new James Bond film or an advert for Spirit Yachts, go and immediately buy a Spirit Yacht and go and see the James Bond film. Regular viewers will remember this scene from Casino Royale when Serenity actually sailed past Soufriere, James Bond's 52-foot Spirit Yacht, as she was sailing into Venice, which was very interesting because actually she had to have her mast taken down about 4 times to get to this point. So Serenity sailed past just at the point where James was handing in his resignation. Unfortunately, you might not remember it because they actually edited this out of the final film. Can't believe that. The things that people will do with Photoshop nowadays, it's shocking. Anyway, let's get on with this because I have one of the other things that's caused a little bit of consternation this last month is engine woes. Yes, I've had engine problems, but not this beautiful, I love it, Beta 20 Marine 3-cylinder, faultless. Few years old now, but it's not missed a single beat. It's never failed to start. It's absolutely fantastic. Love this engine. In fact, no, it was a car engine. More of that, but actually a little bit more on this because what I used to have here was a and I'll tell you what, I'll put some shots in. Because I wasn't videoing at the time, but I had a Yanmar YSE12, which is a single cylinder diesel engine, which sort of sat on its side, and it seized up and caused me all sorts of problem. So whilst it was in the boat, I removed the head. I actually got new pistons and rings. Because it was on its side, you could actually get to either end of it just about. It was a bit of a problem. The old piston ring broke, oil was escaping and it seized, so it's basically burning oil and pumping it out the exhaust. That's what happened. Mocked up a tool to pull out the old cylinder sleeve. You'll see I'll show a photograph here of why these 2 cylinder sleeves look completely different. That's because Yanmar parts sent the wrong one, but I got that sorted out, put it all back together. The engine actually went beautifully, and there's a video somewhere, one of my very early videos, where I sort of started it and I think it started first time. Incredible, great engine. But then I decided I was going to keep Serenity, so I bought this beautiful Beta engine, took out the old Yanmar and sold it, and as far as I know it's chugging away quite happily on a canal somewhere. I mean, I can't diss it. It lacked in slow speed control, but this Yanmar, this Beta, absolutely beautiful. But no, it's not this engine. It is cars. Cars have caused me all sorts of problems, and I typically don't get other people to fix my cars. So let's just have a look at some of the things I've been doing on cars. And in particular, something we all face if we're looking at an old engine. What do you do if one of the nuts or one of the bolts is completely seized up and you have to cut it out somehow?
Right, so this is the Honda Civic engine, a mere 16 years old and 190,000 miles on the clock, but the head gasket went the other day. It completely boiled over. Lucy managed to drive it home with it practically melting, but hey, it's a Honda engine, so that won't matter. So this mystery tool, that's because what I'm going to do, I want to see it over 200,000 miles at least. This tool is, I need to take the timing belt off, which is fairly new. I got somebody else to do it, which I very rarely do, and you have to actually take the bottom engine mount off, and it's going to be a pain, and I'm only going to do this when it's in warm weather. But it's not a big job. It looks, these modern engines look very complicated, but they're not. They're just bits of electronics that are plugged in, and underneath that is just a very basic overhead cam engine. Even the VTEC stuff is not complicated. It's just a unit that bolts on it somewhere. Don't know, there somewhere, I think. Can't remember. There, that's it. That's the VTEC bit under there. Simple. But I couldn't be without a car, unfortunately, so some of the cruising budget had to go on this thing, which I'm not proud of. And I'm not a great Civic fan, but at least they quite look nice. This is a Honda Jazz.
Say? A Honda Jazz. Nice. Back to the video.
It's in perfect condition. It's only done 40,000 miles, and it's got a lovely Honda engine. Just have a quick look at the engine, because I do like engines on Hondas. It's the only thing I like about them, really. So this is an IDSI engine, and it's a CVT, automatic continuously variable transmission. People either love that or hate it. Doesn't bother me either way. This thing has actually got 2 spark plugs per cylinder. It barely, you just have to show it a petrol station and it will go for another 3,000 miles. There is tons of room on this one. This is amazing. It's such a small car, and it's such a, as I say, not a great fan of Hondas, but their engines are brilliant. I'm as keen on Honda engines on cars as I am with beta engines on boats, so got the best of both worlds. Right, I've got most of it off okay at the top. There are so many electrical connections on a modern car, it's ridiculous. There's always one, isn't there? There's always one nut that's going to give you a lot of problem. It's that one. So I've soaked it, I'll leave it, then I'll get back to it. And as I say, look, you can see that it's got a hole right through it. That does need replacing, whatever else happens. Right, so it's time for the 4th most used tool in a mechanic's armoury. These nuts here are completely stuck on, and I used, or started to use, these standard sockets, you know, which kind of grip onto the edges of the nuts, and all that's happened is it's rounded them off. These are not great. Luckily I have one of these which has got the hexagon, so these grip onto the sides of the nut in the right size. if you can, if you're doing a lot of car work or boat stuff, you should really have a set of each. And if that fails, I've got one of these, which is a nut splitter. So you put this around the nut and then you tighten this down and it does what it says on the tin. It splits it in half but keeps the thread intact. But I'm pretty sure, actually, because I've dosed it with loads of stuff, that this hexagon is going to work. Now I'm only using the breaker bar here because it's difficult to get anything else in there, but let's see if this works. I'm confident. Less confident. Oh, more confident. There we go. Fabulous. There we go. So that has come away beautifully. And if you want to know why things take me so long, it's because this has been 2 full days work, because that's the most I could do in 2 days. So that should have normally taken a morning. So yeah, so there you go. That is still ongoing, and I need to get that car sorted out. It might not even work when I get it back together, and I've kind of lent Lucy the jazz now so she can commute to her job. So she doesn't just get chocolate. She actually gets a free car as well. So for that I make her work. And one of the things, haven't quite had as much of her time as I would have wanted, is to de-oxidize and beautify Serenity, because one of the things I want to do is to get the outside finished. You saw the paintwork that I did last month, and get the undersides all painted up and sort of just to make her pretty from the outside. So here's Lucy working with her favourite thing, which is power tools and de-oxidising, as far as she got to Serenity.
Don't film this bit.
Don't film what bit?
Don't film this bit.
Right, okay. This is unbelievable. I was going to... Lucy started this, but what, half an hour ago, 20 minutes ago?
Yeah, about half an hour
and
ago.
there was tape on this. It's been on there for about a year, and I tried to scratch a bit off, but it really wasn't coming out. And then Lucy used some of this, I'll show us a shot of it.
Sticky stuff, I think.
Sticky stuff remover.
Sticky stuff remover. Yeah, it's great. I did leave it on for longer than the bottle said. I left it on for about 10 minutes. It said 5 minutes. Because when I first put it on, I tried a bit and it was not coming off, so I thought I'd leave it for ages. But you can see that's where it was.
Yeah.
So it's definitely changed colour a bit.
Well, that'll change when you do all the polishing. I've been conned here because the deal was, if Lucy even had a go at it and made a good stab at it, I'd give her a bar of chocolate. If she could get it all off, which I didn't think she could, I'd give her 2 bars of chocolate.
Not bad for half an hour's work.
And then I thought, well, I'll leave it for 20 minutes and then come and film her doing it, because she'll have got about 2 inches on it. And you finished it?
Yeah.
You did take it before, didn't you?
I took a picture of it before.
Send me before and I'll stick with before that. But basically, yeah, there was tape to mark off the bulk. I'm very impressed, well done. Right, do you want to get down without people seeing? Because I know you're a bit nervous about heights. Oh, well done. That's a shame. I just started filming and Lucy noticed. It's been well over a month since she's last been able to do this. And we discovered that the pads... What?
What?
I'm talking to the camera.
Okay.
Discovered that the pads were completely logged up and clogged up and needed to be washed. So what are you doing? Combination of... That really does look good.
Shiny. La 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 la.
Yeah, we'll get
And the crab.
Yeah, I know, but Disney will be onto us and we'll get monetised.
Yeah, I highly doubt that Disney would, any of their recognition software would get that.
Fair point.
Because I had neither the words nor the tune.
Nor the rhythm.
Nor the...
Don't do yourself down. Right, can you see the difference there on the video? I can't see under the screen. I'm going to walk and sort of show where Lucy's, and this is just the first rough go over. So that is the line, and as I say, this is just the rough stuff. This is going to take a little while to do because obviously I'm reliant on Lucy being on shore leave and also being hungry for chocolate.
And then the thing that I actually wanted to do this month was to take the windlass out, which I'd put in and tested because I ran out of time last year because of it started to get too cold for epoxy work, and finish off the anchor locker, which needs a bit of fiberglassing, a bit more strengthening of the deck, blah 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 blah, and that's when things went wrong. Right, so this was very temporary. I don't normally do wiring that messy. But that's going to wait until last because I checked that this worked, and what I need to do is to take this thing out, which is incredibly heavy and nearly killed me last time, and then finish off the locker because, as you can see, there are bits that haven't been kind of cleaned up, and also there is a piece of strengthening wood that needs to go up there, but the temperature got too cold before, so first job is to get this out. Hopefully you can see this okay. So what I've got is a couple of axle stands. I've got a little block under the front one because it needed to be angled up a little bit. An old piece of plywood that I saved, a decent piece of Iroko, and basically a car jack. Figuring out where the centre of gravity of this is quite difficult. I think I probably need to push it over. I've already unscrewed it a little bit and checked that it will go up and down. And that seems to be quite solid. I've taken the screws down to the limit of where they can drop, and then this is being kind of held on the shaft. So what I need to do is take the nuts right off, lower it, and hopefully just lift it out, which, if you remember the last video, I should have done it this way. I should have anyway. Right, so if I lower that, that should be fine on the shaft. I just hope I can lower it far enough actually. Do you know what? I'm going to call that a success. Oh. Fabulous. Yeah. Good. Now I've got all down. Just take the other bit off and ready to finish that off. Actually, do you know what? That was relatively easy. Screws back on here. Right, so what's that saying about pride cometh before a fall? I was so pleased at taking the windlass out without damaging myself that what I did is I lifted it up from the deck, which you'll have seen, and then when I was carrying it off the boat, I would kind of twist it around to get onto the ladder, and I did something to my back. I've got a very old back injury from when I was a teenager that doesn't give me an awful lot of problem, but just occasionally, I think it's only one small muscle, but boy did that hurt. So I've been out of sorts and not doing anything for really a couple of weeks now, and I don't want to risk it too much, but the good news is, so I'm not as far ahead with this as I want to be. The good news is I'd already cut the piece of wood out, the front piece of wood, which is going up to do the strengthening. The bit at the back underneath the windlass I'd already done. And I'd forgotten this, I've actually, up there, I've actually scraped off with the angle grinder and so on, pretty much all of the stuff and roughed it up, got the old paint and so on off, so it's ready to glue. There's just about a sort of a 2-inch area at the very front, and I'm not going to risk that with until my back's perfectly okay. And then I'm going to glue this up. I'll show you a little insert of what I did before. I'm not going to show you that because I've done that before. It's fairly simple, but this has been cut out. There is a layer of fiberglass on either side. It's all nice and it will fit up okay. So as soon as my back's sorted, I'm going to do that. Then it's just a question of cleaning off the other bit. I've already got a piece of wood that I cut out last time to put across here. The hatch is ready to go in and so on. So, sorry. That's it, there is no cure for stupidity. It's just one of those tiny things that just made a slight movement. I was so proud that I actually got this windlass motor off without it landing on my face, but that's just the way it goes, doesn't it? So anyway, yeah, that's the windlass work for September. September has not been a very productive month at all, but hey ho, I've enjoyed every second of it, even though there haven't been enough seconds. So actually, not sure how well you can see this, but I did manage to get the front bit in, stuck nicely, plenty of thickened epoxy, and another layer of fiberglass over it. So pleased about that. Still need to do around the edges, and there's still quite a lot of cleaning up to do. But yeah, so I did actually manage to get a little bit further without further damaging my back. So hopefully October will see this job finished. So there we go, that's it for this month. I was a little bit disappointed at how much I managed to do, but I'm actually now pleased that I managed to get that piece up there. And the rest of this, the weather forecast is for rain, 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 but I can do this inside. I can do this a tiny little bit at a time. I will be very careful with my back. I don't need to put the windlass back in until I'm really confident that my back is sorted out. It's probably the carrying it up. Anyway, as I say, there's no cure for stupidity, so sorry about distinct lack of content this month, but as I say, these are home movies, and you know, if you want to follow on, you're welcome to. And I shall see you in October. Crikey, we're way into autumn now, aren't we? See you then. Thanks for watching.